morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, and welcome to this week's mini episode of Weekly Energy Boost. My name is Elisheva, and this week we're talking about what's in your blind spot. And I don't mean that like you personally. We all have a blind spot, and this week the universe is shining a floodlight into our blind spot. And so I'm really excited to share with you a few minutes of consciousness tips and practical tools that come from the wisdom of Kabbalah. Weekly Energy Boost is a 7-day spiritual weather forecast where we provide our listeners with the best practices for navigating the opportunities and potential pitfalls of the coming 7 days. And the result is an episode full of powerful and practical lessons and tools that you can use anytime. And the reason that we're able to allow this opportunity of seeing into our blind spots this week is actually twofold. There is the energy of the month of Gemini, which supports us. If you know a Gemini, I don't think we talked about the energy of Gemini, so I'll give it a couple minutes. The energy of Geminis, and if you're a Gemini yourself or you're close with one, you will know this to be true. They tend to be all over the place for better or worse. They can have their finger on the pulse of everyone in the room. They're really good at socializing. They like to learn. They know a little bit about a lot of things. And because the symbol for Gemini is the twins, right? We have the ability this month, probably more than most other months, to be able to see two sides of the coin, to be able to see things from multiple perspectives and still remain us. And so we want to use that ability, not only this week, we can use it the entire month, to shine a light on perspectives about what we believe, what we think, what we know to be true, and challenge them, question them, not with a pessimistic tone, but with a curious tone. Why do I know that to be true? Who told me that? How did I learn that? And to check if those things really serve us or if they served us once and now they're simply hurting us. So the month of Gemini is really a powerful time period to reflect on how we got where we are and if we want to continue on that trajectory. This week specifically calls us to analyze our own personal agenda, our own personal biases. And that's something that's always going to be in our blind spot, simply because the human brain is designed to confirm and support what it believes, right? We say that in many spiritual conversations. We talk about, I think it was Louise Hay who said, we live in a yes universe, that whatever we decide is true or whatever we decide is reality, the universe will say yes and show it to us and prove it to us. So we have a choice what reality we experience. And for our purposes this week, we want to shine a light on where our own personal, how would I say it so concisely? Where our own personal knowledge or experience is actually blocking us from seeing reality, seeing the true potentiality of something, and seeing better options and roads for us to take. So there's this story, I'm actually not sure what culture it's from. It's a parable about a student who comes to meet his teacher, his spiritual teacher, for the first time. So the teacher pours him a cup of tea, and as he fills it, the student's cup begins to overflow, right? So the teacher continues, you can imagine it, keeps pouring and pouring and pouring. The tea is pouring all over the table, and the student is sort of shocked. He's kind of wet now as well. So he asked the teacher, "What are you doing?" And the teacher said, "You are like this cup. I cannot teach you until you empty yourself of all that you think you already know." And that's definitely like us, right? And one of the things I tell students when they take classes, if you come into my classroom, I'll often say, your baggage is not going to go away easily. You can leave it at the door, be open, take in what we talk about tonight, and then you can pick up your baggage at the door and see if what we talked about tonight fits with it. So part of what we need to understand about the opportunity of this week is that what we believe to be negative, there's a very famous, you don't see things as they are, you see things as you are. So what that means is that what we believe or see or perceive as negative will be negative. We will experience it as negative. But when we know that and acknowledge that the Creator's light is in everything and that the light is within all people and all circumstances, we can then see the good and experience the good. So really what the Kabbalists are telling us this week is to empty our cup. Take whatever it is you believe you know, statistically, your education, your experience, put it aside and be open to seeing things and people as you've never seen them before. Be willing to try new things. That's actually something else that I think all of us are inspired to do more in the month of Gemini than any other time of the year, is to try new things, be more open-minded, let go of preconceived notions, and go into every situation knowing no matter how it feels, it's ultimately for my best. Now, we received an email from a student not long ago asking, or a listener asking, why a soul, we teach in Kabbalah that our souls choose our parents, our upbringing, so that our software is installed in such a way so that we can come to adulthood prepared to heal what we need to heal, transform what we need to transform, and reveal what we need to reveal. So someone wrote in asking why a soul would choose a difficult childhood. And I think I brought this up in a previous episode as well, but it's asking to be repeated because, not the answer, but another angle to it is that the soul is not concerned with comfort and ease. The soul is concerned with our elevation, our healing, our becoming more and more like the light of the Creator every day. The fulfillment of our soul's purpose is that transformation and is the revelation of the unique gifts that we committed in that conversation before we came to the physical reality to share with the world. So it's not, we can look at the media and journalism and say, oh, they're so biased. Oh, fake news. Oh, that can't be true. Why don't we say that to ourselves, right? The reality is that if my soul chose certain circumstances, and we've all chosen circumstances that are challenging, some in greater degrees than others, because that's exactly what we need to go through for the benefit of our soul's transformation and healing, full stop. If it's difficult, if it's painful, if it's horrible, and no question, there are souls who choose horrible circumstances to come to. It is not because the soul is concerned with ease and comfort and happiness, but it's concerned with our finishing what we came to the world to do, which is to become the creator, to become the cause, to become the initiator, to be a beacon of light. And the rest is commentary, right? If we experience, from the soul's point of view, happiness, comfort, success, that's a byproduct of us being on the right path for ourselves. And when I say happiness, comfort, and success, I don't mean the temporary kind, right? We all know how to find the quick fix, the easy high, the things that make us feel good for a minute, for 15 minutes. Even if you have an amazing meal, right? It's how long are you going to remember it, right? Sometimes I remember a meal months later, if I'm honest, but the idea you realize is that the goodness we experience in our life, we're meant to experience it infinitely. So in this week, not only, and I don't think they're separate from one another because I think one feeds the other. This week, we have the opportunity to, I'm going to use the cliche again, the parable, empty your cup. Forget what you know, forget what experience tells you, forget what your logic and your intellect or your history has shown you, and be more open. The other thing that's really powerful about this week is that it's an opportunity, again, with the positive and uplifting and sort of bubbly energy of Gemini, it's a great week to work on our self-esteem. And that goes back to, right, you don't see things as they are, you see things as you are. That goes for other people as well, right? Often what other people say or believe about us says a lot more about them than it does about you. So, right, it works both ways. On one hand, my blind spots, my blockages, my filters are going to corrupt how I see or perceive or experience things. But other people's blind spots do the same for them. So it's a week for us to remember that what you believe to be true of others says more about them than it does about you. And that you have the ability to strengthen your inner knowing of your intrinsic goodness, even if you make mistakes, actually because you make mistakes, and the universe is designed for us to make mistakes. But then the real test is not pass or fail. It's how quickly you pick yourself up after you've fallen. So to realize both, I get to clear out what's in my blind spot, and I can also strengthen my own self-esteem, my own sense of self-worth, knowing that other people's blind spots are as much as their problem as my blind spots are my problem. Weekly Energy Boost is available on all podcast platforms, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. You can follow us there for additional content. You can also visit our website, weeklyenergyboost.com, where you can find out more about the things we talk about on the episodes that you're hearing. And as always, you can like, rate, review, and share this episode and have more people clearing out their blind spots this week, which will inevitably make for a better world to live in. Thank you for being with us, and we'll see you next week for another mini episode of Weekly Energy Boost.